If you're like me, you probably are too old to go trick or treating or have children that are too old to go trick or treating. And so you do the next best thing, which is you grab some of your treats from the store, your favorite ones, you grab some popcorn, and you invite your friends over to revel in some of your favorite campy Halloween movies. And if you're also like me and the people that like I hang out with that seems to be surrounding me, you have a bunch of anxiety about what to pick. You don't know what to pick because like you don't know who's going to like it, you don't know how to read the room, and so you end up scrolling for like 18 hours watching only trailers, and everybody leaves disappointed and confused, and you're staring at the screen when the TV is off and you're seeing yourself covered in nothing but like those freaking candy wrappers, and you're just like, how did I end up this way? How did I end up this way? Today, I'm going to give you my top 5 Halloween-esque hangout movies to watch with people, to laugh and enjoy with your friends, and to share a few drinks with. The criteria of these movies generally center around enjoyment and not really like the scariness of them. They're not meant to be taken seriously. They have a huge amount of campiness and schlock attached to them, but there is some good, genuine horror moments, and some of them that are actually just so ridiculous you just can't help but enjoy it. You can call me Astro. I have no degrees, education, certifications, really anything. I'm just a dude who goblin rants on the internet. So grab your favorite snacks, your friends, your favorite drinks, and Halloween theme your screens, because I'm going to give you my top 5 favorite Halloween or horror-esque movies to watch and laugh with friends. Now, we're going to be going in order of like less campiness to like full on schlock. Like, how many drinks have I had? How did I end up here? And why is this person my friend that recommended these movies? I'm going to be going over things very briefly, like, hey, does it have nudity? What the amount of gore is in it? Is it actually funny? Why I kind of like it? And I'm going to not be giving like spoilers about the movie, but I am going to be reading like the IMDb synopsis of the movie so that you can kind of get a general feel of it. Number 1, Cabin in the Woods. It has some nudity in it, and it has a lot, and I do mean a lot of gore in it, but it is so brilliantly written that I can't help but recommend people watch it. The IMDb summary says a small group of kids that go into a remote cabin in the woods where their fate is unknowingly controlled by technicians as a part of a worldwide conspiracy where all horror movie cliches are revealed to be a part of an elaborate sacrificial ritual. Ugh, that is a lot to say. However, you haven't seen this movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be a little bit more disappointed than a 2000s movies dad where his son just told him that he didn't want to sports anymore, that he was tired of outsporting everybody in the sports fields, and he just wanted to do art and interpreted dance. You love meta commentary and you love really witty writing. This is a great movie to watch. It is fantastically gory. It is filled with Easter eggs in all the right ways. They're not so much where like they don't consume every bit of the movie. They're there in the background, but they're fun to watch. I love watching this movie because you can watch it multiple different times and catch different things every single time you watch it. It's a fantastic movie. It really calls into question like the horror movie genre. It makes you think about it, and honestly, it's worth the watch. So even if you don't like horror movies, I think it can also be made for you as well. It's super gory, very violent, and a lot of different areas, especially when the second to third act kicks off. And it just has a lot of surprises in it that I don't want to ruin for you. You should 100% definitely go watch it. The second movie I'm going to recommend is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This movie is so criminally untalked about that it blows my mind. It is well written, it's hilarious. There is some obscured nudity in the distance, but you can't really make anything out, and it's pretty gory. It's got some pretty graphic, violent deaths in it, but it like really balances it with this dark sense of levity. The IMDb summary reads, affable hillbillies Tucker and Dale are on a vacation at their dilapidated mountain cabin when they are mistaken for murderers by a group of preppy college students. This movie, I cannot describe to you how well written it is. And it sucks because I've only maybe talked to one other person out in the wild who's actually ever seen this movie. This is the type of movie that when I hear people haven't seen it, I will sit them down and we will have a movie night specifically to watch this movie because it is so well done. I really can't express to you how much my wife and I like quote this movie on the daily. Like, if you really want a movie that has some quotable moments in it, has a lot of like ups and downs, and is really fun to watch, this is probably the one I would recommend the most out of this list. The third movie I'm going to recommend is a staple. A lot of people have seen it. It's probably the most famous one out of this entire list, and that is Army of Darkness. The movie contains partial nudity. Depending on what version you have, it can have some nudity in it. Like, I know the director's cut, I think, has some nudity in it, and it has a lot of super campy violence in it, and a crap ton of like slapstick humor, really cheesy one-liners. It's just so good to watch for me. I love Ash as a character, and just full disclosure, I have a soft spot for Sam Raimi films and John Carpenter films. It doesn't matter. You put it on, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna love it. It's just something about the way they direct. It's just something about the way they use music. It's just something about the way they build atmosphere. And even if the movie isn't that good, I'm still gonna enjoy it because I enjoy the way they handle visuals. The IMDb summary of this movie is: when Ash Williams is accidentally transported to 1300 AD, he must retrieve the Necronomicon and battle an army of the dead in order to return home. Army of Darkness is a sequel to Evil Dead 2, which there's a lot of debate on whether or not Evil Dead 2 is an actual direct sequel to Evil Dead 1. Sam Raimi ended up having to sell the rights to New Line Cinema, but he didn't sell like the characters or the storyline to the movie. And when you watch Evil Dead 2, it takes place in the same like cabin area, but like there's a lot of people who explain this way better than I do, but it's kind of convoluted. But for intents and purposes, it's a sequel to Evil Dead 2. Why I recommend this movie is not only is it like slapstick humor, which I am also a sucker for, it does a really good job of making Ash this flawed yet relatable character that you journey with throughout the process of everything he's going through with the film. He makes a lot of like really dumb decisions, and honestly, I don't think I would make any better decisions given the situation he finds himself in. It's really atmospheric. It's like the practical effects I'm a fan of. It is just a very good movie to kind of sit with some drinks and watch and poke fun at it and laugh and just enjoy the cheesy dialogue. Now, we are getting into full on super like schlock movies. These last two movies are like full on schlock, so be warned. This movie is probably one of the most infamous movies when it comes to like horror and sequel baits. And it is talked about a lot, and it got memed into oblivion almost like a decade ago, and people are still talking about this movie. That movie being Troll 2. IMDb summary says, a vacationing family discovers that the entire town they're visiting is inhabited by goblins disguised as humans who plan to eat them. Now, I'm pretty sure you're observant and you can see that like trolls and goblins are two different creatures, and we're already like in a mess of things. This movie doesn't have really any nudity. I mean, there's a person being like turned into a plant, or like there's this plant person that can be like, maybe. But for the most part, the movie is super gross. It's not like terribly violent, but it's pretty gross at times and kind of slimy. I love this movie. And the first time that I saw this movie was when I was invited, like I was 18, and I was invited by a college freshman to like join a movie club, which ended up just being sitting in a dingy, dimly lit basement, watching movies and talking about them. And now that I think about it, I probably somehow avoided becoming the subject of a Lifetime disappearance movie because, yes, it was super sketchy. Anyways, this movie is a sequel to Troll, which came out in the 80s, which was basically about a troll that was taking over an apartment complex using magic and all kinds of stuff. That doesn't exist in this movie at all. It is so freaking campy. It is horribly acted, and it is fantastic to watch with friends over some drinks and to just really take in how bad this movie is and how much it'll just grip your heart with you just love it. You just love it. One of my favorite like facts about this movie is that the main cast were really just auditioning to be background characters, and they were just like, yeah, you're gonna be the main character now. Like, you go ahead, get here and start acting. And it shows because like the acting is horrible. I like the fact that like they made a documentary about it and they revisited some of these characters and they talk about how horrible the movie is. And it is a wonderful movie to kind of watch and quote and just riff on the whole entire time. This last movie, number 5, I have never met one single person in person that has ever seen this movie when I talk about it. And that movie is called Llamageddon. Yeah, you heard that right. Llamageddon. I was scrolling through, like, I think it was Prime or some video streaming service, and I saw it, and I was immediately pulled in with the title because one thing that gets me is puns. Puns are the highest form of humor. I absolutely love them, and if you can put a pun in your movie title, I'm pretty much going to watch it. If I remember correctly, this movie really only has like one like snippet of nudity, and that's like maybe a topless person on a cell phone that you get a quick shot of. But for the most part, everybody stays pretty clothed. It does have like some, not like graphic deaths or graphic violence or anything like that. This by all means is like a like bootstrap guerrilla like horror, fully leaning into schlock, fully leaning into the campiness, fully leaning into the ridiculousness of the premise of this movie, which according to IMDb is a killer llama from outer space crash lands on Earth and brings death and destruction to everyone in its path. Yes, that is it. It is a llama that just brings death and destruction. And for me, this movie holds a special place in my heart for some reason because it's just so leaning into its ridiculousness. This is definitely a movie that is either people are gonna love it or they're gonna hate it. There's like no in between. You can't just kind of like this movie. You're either all in or you're all out. This movie, again, is much like Troll 2, is one that I would watch with some friends over some drinks and enjoying our favorite snacks. Just one that you can just fully embrace for what it is. That is a spacefaring llama, shoots lasers from its eyes, and kills people. And it's just fantastic. But wait, I'm pulled a sneaky on you because I have one more bonus recommendation for movies, and this one is one that I actually grew up watching. So the top five I would recommend, those would be the first five that I would show people. This sixth one more is like a bonus one. I told you before that I was a sucker for puns. I find them the highest form of humor. I love slapstick comedy. I love witty writing. I love dry humor. I just love them so much. And I don't know what it is that it's built in every fiber of me, but it's just fantastic. This movie I would recommend, if you enjoy those things, is Dracula Dead and Loving It. If you are a fan of dry humor, but also it's got some like really like inappropriate humor in it, and I'm gonna say this right now, this movie was made in the 90s, so a lot of the humor is gonna be dated. Like it's just gonna be dated. So you have to take that and keep that in mind. But if you're a fan of like Naked Gun, where there is like witty humor and slapstick and just ridiculous scenarios, this is the movie for you. I really enjoy watching it. It is basically just a riff on Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie that came out in the 90s that starred Keanu Reeves with a horrible, horrible, horrible accent that he was trying to do. It's purely nostalgia for me. I absolutely love and adore these types of movies and love sharing them with people because you can see like when like jokes go by really quickly or they're really dry, and I love watching people and seeing that light bulb go on their head and they actually get the joke. Anyways, I've gone on long enough. If you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out when it comes to like channel creation and things like that. And I just want to say I appreciate you. You're listening to me goblin rant about some of my favorite movies to watch, some of my favorite like campy schlocky movies to watch, and it means a lot to me. And maybe, just maybe, you can enjoy those movies too with some friends. And if you did watch them or you have seen them and you enjoy them, please, by all means, let me know in the comments below because I love reading the comments. And also, if you have any schlocky, campy, Halloween-esque, horror-esque movies to recommend, please put them in comments below too because I would love to check them out.